fiber is the golden child of nutrition advice. We're told it's absolutely essential for digestive health, for preventing colon cancer, for feeding our gut bacteria, and for keeping us full so we don't overeat. But what if that's not entirely true? Hey, everybody. Want to learn why fiber is completely useless? Stay tuned. All right, let's get into fiber. Fiber is the golden child of nutrition advice. We're told it's absolutely essential for digestive health, for preventing colon cancer, for feeding our gut bacteria, and for keeping us full so we don't overeat. But what if that's not entirely true? What if fiber isn't actually for human health, necessary for human health at all? What if removing it might actually improve digestion and inflammation for some people? If you're on a carnivore diet like I am, you've probably wondered, am I missing something by eating zero fiber? Or am I actually benefiting from avoiding it? So let's break it all down with science, with studies, and some surprising truths. Welcome back to the Obesity Project, episode 30. Do we really need fiber? What carnivore dieters need to know. My name is Dr. Mark Shankman. I'm 2 weeks into my carnivore diet, so early stages, but I felt like this was an important topic to talk about when on a carnivore diet because everybody says when they hear that you're on carnivore is, do you really need fiber? What about the fiber? What about the fiber? You're not getting the fiber. So I decided to shoot a video on it. So for decades, public health agencies have promoted fiber as essential and vital. The USDA, WHO, and countless dietary guidelines recommend 25 for women and 38 grams of fiber per day for men. So a range of 25 to 38 grams of fiber every single day. And what are the claims? Well, they claim it prevents constipation, reduces cholesterol, helps with weight loss, protects against colon cancer, and feeds our gut microbiome. And this advice, honestly, is based mostly on observational studies, which means that they can show correlation, but not cause and effect, right? Correlation is not causation. So the real question is, when we isolate fiber and put it to the test in randomized control trials, what does the science actually say? So we're going to talk about study number one, based on constipation. So let's start with one of the biggest claims is that fiber prevents constipation. Back in 2012, a study by Ho, KS et al. In the World Journal of Gastroenterology looked at 63 patients with idiopathic constipation. Idiopathic meaning we're not really sure what the cause is, but we know these patients have constipation. And they were split into three groups: a high fiber group, a low fiber group, and a no fiber group. And the result was that the no fiber group had complete resolution of the constipation with less bloating, less gas, and easier bowel movements. And this is actually a quote from the study. Stopping or reducing dietary fiber intake reduces constipation and its associated symptoms. So the jury sounds like it's pretty much out to me on whether fiber actually helps to combat constipation. There was a second study regarding colon cancer protection. So in a 2005 meta-analysis by Park et al. In the Journal of American Medical Association, they looked at fiber intake and colon cancer risk. And initially, there was an apparent benefit, but after adjusting for confounding issues like total food intake and lifestyle factors, the link completely disappeared. And there's simply no strong evidence that fiber prevents colon cancer when you isolate it from other healthy behaviors. And number three, the microbiome and gut health. And while it's true that fiber feeds gut bacteria, especially soluble fibers that act as prebiotics, I'm here to tell you that the microbiome does adapt and does change. So, carnivore eaters, for instance, report no digestive issues, even with zero fiber. And in fact, many people report one, relief from IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, less bloating and gas, and improved stool regularity. So let's talk about Dr. Paul Mason, an Australian sports medicine doctor and carnivore advocate. He says that fiber isn't essential for the gut. The idea that you need to feed your gut bacteria is a misinterpretation of the science. Less waste, less inflammation. So I'm here to tell you I don't think that fiber really is all that important. So on carnivore, we eat zero fiber. Yet many people, as I mentioned, report that digestion improves and they get less gastrointestinal issues. So the question is why? If the fiber is so necessary, why are carnivore dieters not experiencing any digestive issues? Well, the reason is that animal-based diets create less water, which means smaller and less frequent bowel movements. Also, the gut microbiome shifts toward, excuse me, the meat-friendly bacteria, and that's not a bad thing. So we see a change in gut microbiome, but change doesn't necessarily mean bad, right? No fiber doesn't, we don't see incredible digestive system upset or system changes. Animal-based diets create less waste, and my contention is that you actually are utilizing the foods that you're eating much more efficiently, breaking down most of that food into actual usable, absorbable nutrients. That means less frequent bowel movements because there's less waste. You're not eating all the plant foods. You're not eating the fiber that creates the waste because fiber, by definition, is something we cannot digest. And also, there's less fermentation, which means less gas, less bloating, and less GI discomfort. So, soluble fiber may feed some helpful bacteria, but it can also increase inflammatory metabolites in others, depending on your gut and your gut microbiome. And so, for people with IBS or IBD, irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel dysfunction, fiber often worsens the symptoms. So you don't need bulk in your stool if you're not eating excessive plant matter and waste. Carnivore digestion is efficient and clean. So as I mentioned, when you're eating carbs, when you're eating a high plant-based diet, then I think the fiber is very important. But the fiber is feeding the gut microbiome. It doesn't, excuse me, it does not necessarily mean that you're breaking down that fiber or that that fiber is necessary for your cells. You're feeding the gut microbiome, which may have no effect on your gut digestion. It may or it may not. And folks with GI issues, I would suggest coming away from the fiber and eating a more animal-based diet. So let's debunk the fiber equals health myth. Let's be honest, the benefits attributed to fiber may not be from fiber at all. Often people increase fiber by increasing more whole foods like fruits and vegetables and legumes, cutting out the processed junk at the same time. So of course you're going to see improvement, but is it from the fiber or is it from removing the ultra processed garbage food that they're eating? So fiber also blunts hunger by adding volume to your meals. But on carnivore, protein and fat are naturally satiating. So you don't need the fiber to feel full. And fiber, is it really an essential nutrient? Let's remember there's no known human requirement for fiber. None. Not even 1 single gram. It's not considered a nutrient because you don't break it down and you don't utilize it. It simply runs through your gut and provides this bulk to your stools. So, what happens if you don't have fiber? What happens without the fiber? One, your digestion may improve, not worsen. Your body produces less waste, so there's less to eliminate. You may experience fewer digestive symptoms like bloating, gas, and cramping, and your gut bacteria adapts. And change doesn't mean in a negative way. It's perfectly normal. Your gut microbiome changes frequently if you change your diet. Any dietary change will create a change in your gut microbiome. Change does not necessarily mean good, doesn't necessarily mean bad. It kind of depends on what's happening and what the goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. So here's the key. No nutrient deficiencies have ever been recorded from fiber elimination alone. I would claim this way that this fiber is completely useless if you're eating a high animal-based diet. So, fiber has been overhyped for years. For some people, it can be helpful, but for many, and I would suggest more, especially those on a carnivore diet, it's completely unnecessary and potentially even harmful. So don't fall for the blanket recommendation that more fiber is always better. Your body and your gut may work best without it. So hit that like button, follow for more myth busting episodes, and let me know in the comments if you ever experienced better digestion with or without fiber, or are you still unsure? I'd love to continue the conversation. And remember, when you're on a carnivore diet in particular, um, when someone comes to you and says, "But you're not getting fiber. What about the fiber?" You quote this video. You quote how fiber on a carnivore diet, especially, is completely useless and may be counterproductive. So, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic remaining week and fantastic weekend. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.